cry for help as Taiwan's second biggest city struggles with doctor shortages. Should Taiwan rethink its relationship with Israel? These protesters are calling out their country's leaders as Palestinians mark their darkest day. Taiwan's smog may pose an even greater risk to public health than originally thought. Plus, a performance fit for a queen. President Tsai-Ing Wen is treated to a show by drag superstar Nymphia Wind. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Chen. Public health centers in Taiwan's second biggest city are chronically understaffed, with some lacking doctors. As John Venturez reports, it's part of a nationwide shortage in the public health sector.
Dr. Zeng Ya-chun advises a patient about COVID vaccines at this public health center in Taichung. With a population of more than 2.8 million, around the size of Chicago, this city has a lot of patients in need of care. But public centers like this are severely short-staffed. Centers in 7 city districts don't have doctors. And even where there are full-time doctors, doctor-to-patient ratios are high. It's common for centers to have to look after more than the 15,000 patients they're meant to handle. Dr. Zeng has her own practice, a pediatric clinic. But for 6 years, she's been coming to this clinic in her spare time to help patients of all ages.
因为他们在找寻医师的还是有一定的困难度，所以我们还是愿意出来支援。
One reason it's hard to find doctors is the heavy workload. At public health centers, they're expected to care for patients, but also do administrative tasks and help with public health campaigns. This and lower pay make work in private practices far more attractive.
说在医疗资源丰富，我们这边看诊，比如说看疾病的个案会少。
And it's not just a problem in Taichung. Nationwide, the number of public health centers without doctors has roughly doubled over the past decade. Last year, over 70 of the around 370 had no one full-time. In cities like Taichung, at least, there are doctors like Dr. Zeng willing to give their time. Rural areas, though, are far more hard hit. Officials in Taichung say they're working to improve the situation.
未来将在持续争取增加人力，减轻卫生所服务的负担。
But so far this year, only 4 doctors there have signed up. The city wants more cooperation with hospitals. But without more concrete plans, managing the doctor shortage in public health centers may prove an uphill struggle. Justin Wu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
May 15th is Nymphia Day for Palestinians. Meaning catastrophe in Arabic, it marks the first Arab-Isreali War in 1948 when hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were expelled from their homes. And Taiwan pro-Palestinian protesters are calling for an end to Israel's war in Gaza and for what they say is Taiwan's complicity in it. Rick Gloward reports.
Demonstrators outside of Taiwan's legislature demanding an end to Israel's war on Gaza. And calling out Taiwanese leaders and businesses for their part in the bloodshed. Some here believe Palestine's battle for statehood resonates with their own, as neighbouring China claims sovereignty over Taiwan and regularly threatens to take the self-ruled island nation by force.
To me, a very striking similarity is that Palestinians too are under this existential threat. They have a different country, a different nation that has so much power right now over them that is trying to deprive them of their national identity to end their roots.
Israel is facing mounting accusations of war crimes in the Gaza Strip, with its continuing ground and air operations in retaliation for a cross-border attack in October last year by Hamas, the militant group that governs the enclave. Here in Taipei, protesters are demanding Taiwanese companies stop providing Israel with parts used in weapons to wage that war. And they're calling out lawmakers and government officials for supporting Israel. Like many places around the world, demonstrations against Israel's war on Gaza have become more vocal here as the death toll mounts. But Taiwan's leaders, often alienated on the world stage due to pressure from China, say they have a lot to gain from closer ties with Israel. Just last month, outgoing President Tsai-Ing Wen met with visiting Israeli lawmakers. The two countries, she said, were important allies with shared values, small democracies that could learn from one another how to fend off existential threats. Israel says it is fighting for survival against outside forces like Hamas and other Arab neighbours that want to see it destroyed.
They are in war. We are not in war yet, but we are facing these challenges, and those challenges appear to be more imminent. So Taiwan is facing a superpower. Unlike Israel, they are surrounded by unfriendly countries. But we are confronting a superpower right next to the Taiwan Strait. So the security challenges are very similar.
Free, free, free Palestine! But condemnation of the devastation in Gaza is growing, and support for Israel is wavering. Taiwan has sent aid to Gaza, but its friendship with Israel looks solid. Like Israel, Taiwan too relies on the United States for its national defense needs.
If we want to move to a more realpolitik or cynical view, you could say that the Taiwanese administration is aligning itself with the U.S., simply with the rationale of whoever the U.S. supports, they have our backing as well.
In Taipei, Palestine's supporters came out to mark the Nakba, meaning catastrophe in Arabic, the day Israel declared independence in 1948 and Palestinians were expelled from their homeland. For these protesters, losing their country is a very real danger, and reason enough for Taiwan to rethink its relationship with Israel. Patrick Chen and Rick Lowett for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan has spotted 45 Chinese aircraft and 6 Navy vessels operating in waters around Taiwan in the last 24 hours. The country's defense ministry says 26 aircraft, including fighter jets and drones, entered the country's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. That's the highest number so far this year. These incursions come just a few days before President Ching-te's inauguration on Monday. The family of a Taiwanese army officer who's been held in China for months is trying to get him released. They've asked the army to discharge him so he can be treated as a civilian.
我们想说可以用让他说已经不是军人的身份让他用百姓的身份看能不能早点让他回来他有个家庭要养然后小孩子跟太太也都想也能够早一点回来就是让他救啦心爱救啦
China's Coast Guard rescued the officer after his fishing boat drifted into Chinese waters near Taiwan's outlying Jinmen Islands in March. He's been held ever since because of his status as an active duty soldier. Taiwan's military has granted his family's request for early discharge and is working with the government to secure his release. Health risks from air pollution are much greater than previously thought. That's according to a new report from Taiwan's top health researchers. As Chris Goring reports, slow progress on cleaning up the country's air could cause problems down the road.
Smog. It's a familiar sight to those living in Taiwan's major cities, and new data shows the health concerns go beyond just your lungs. The respiratory effects of pollution have long been known, but exposure to particle matter such as PM 2.5 can also affect other parts of the body, especially among older people.
所以老人的这个肾脏病的病人一定要严防这个 PM 暴露在高暴露的这样的一个 2.5， 不然会引起缺血性的这样的一个因为慢性肾脏所引起的缺血性刚才讲的心脏病。
Higher levels of air pollution also increase the risk of degenerative brain diseases like Alzheimer's.
The risk of Alzheimer's disease is 4 times compared with those very low level. And for the vascular dementia, it's like 2 times higher.
The report from Taiwan's National Health Research Institutes says there's been a downward trend in the country's air pollution levels. But outside groups paint a less rosy picture. Air quality tracker IQ Air says Taiwan has the 3rd worst air quality in East Asia. And in most of Taiwan's major cities, pollution levels are between 2 and 5 times higher than levels deemed safe by the World Health Organization. With Taiwan's population rapidly aging, pollution-related health issues could cause problems for the whole country.
Taiwan will go to super age society very soon. So that means we have a lot of very high portion of population, they are susceptible to the air pollutant. So the health care burden will definitely increase a lot.
The government aims to reduce air pollution to the level recommended in the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. But faced with a demographic dilemma, Taiwan's window for meeting those goals in time to avoid a crisis is quickly running out. Ryan Wu and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
A world-famous drag queen has put on a unique performance at Taiwan's presidential office. Harrell Hughes reports.
A not-so-typical morning at Taiwan's presidential office. Lip-syncing to a Lady Gaga song and wearing an indigenous flower costume, world-famous drag queen and winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, Nymphia Wind, performed for President Tsai-Ing Wen.
我想这应该成为全世界第一个总统府有皇后表演的地方吧。谢谢你为这个国家的贡献，让我可以成长到今天这个样子。有你的榜样，可以展现出我们的美貌，然后成长成美丽的样子。所以谢谢你这8年来的贡献，成为我们台湾的妈妈。
Nymphia shot to worldwide fame when she appeared on the latest season of the mega-popular competition show, becoming the first person from Taiwan to win the crown. She dedicated her win to Taiwan.
I want it for my country! Taiwan, let's go! Yeah.
Taiwan has become a beacon for LGBTQ+ rights in Asia, championed by President Tsai during her 8 years in office. Under her leadership, Taiwan became the first country in Asia to legalize same-sex marriage in 2019. And Taipei hosts the largest annual Pride Parade in East Asia. Tsai invited Nymphia to the presidential office to congratulate her for her victory, quoting RuPaul's iconic lines from the show.
Shantae, you say, if you can't love yourself, how you gonna love somebody else? 我相信尼菲亚的成长历程也会带给许多台湾的年轻人勇气，能够无所畏惧，保留真心，做自己。
Nymphia also performed to a song by Taiwanese singer Huang Fei and was joined by her drag family to lip-sync to the song Womanly by Jolin Tsai. The song about a young boy bullied for his perceived effeminate behavior and whose death led to the passage of the 2004 Gender Equity Education Act in Taiwan, a shift by the government for a more holistic understanding of gender. As Tsai prepares to leave office, the rainbow legacy she leaves behind will continue on the Drag Race runway. Alex Chen, Jeffrey Chen, and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Stay tuned to TaiwanPlus News. Coming up, canaries in a coal mine. Taiwan's rising temperatures are threatening its abundant wildlife.
Explore the vibrant world of Taiwanese factories. Where skilled craftsmen and their expert hands have shaped industries. Join us in celebrating the artisan spirit and relentless pursuit of excellence. Viva la Vita, every Thursday at 7 p.m. on TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, visit our website or follow our social media.
We bring you stories from Taiwan.
Every day of the week.
Our reporters travel the nation.
Exploring the issues that matter to you.
news from here in Taiwan and around the world.
What's up, Taiwan? On TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. A Thai activist is dead after a month-long hunger strike while in jail. 28-year-old Netipong Boon Sanesangkom had been jailed for nearly 4 months awaiting trial. She was facing charges for calling for reform of the country's monarchy. She had been part of an activist group campaigning for an end to a law that makes it illegal to criticize members of the royal family, an offense punishable by up to 15 years in prison. Her death is sparking fresh calls for judicial reforms to stop prisoners awaiting trial being held for a long period. U.S. President Joe Biden is taking economic action against China he says will protect local workers. Maddie Anstruther has more on a move that will heighten tensions in the U.S.-China trade war.
U.S. President Joe Biden has announced new measures targeting Chinese imports.
Today I'm announcing new tariffs in key sectors of the economy that are going to ensure that our workers are not held back by unfair trade practices.
The tariffs extend to electric vehicles, semiconductors, aluminium, steel, and critical minerals. Washington says $18 billion worth of Chinese goods will be affected.
China heavily subsidized all these products, pushing Chinese companies to produce far more than the rest of the world can absorb, and then dumping the excess products onto the market at unfairly low prices.
Biden's latest move will quadruple duties on Chinese electric vehicles and double those on semiconductors. China has responded, saying it opposes the tariffs and will take appropriate measures to defend its interests. But as the EU has surpassed the US as China's biggest export market, it's unclear how much the tariffs will impact China's economy.
I don't think the impact on the Chinese economy will be huge. It's more of a signal than an actual impact.
Last year, the US imported almost 3 times more goods from China than it exported. This large gap in trade is a central issue for both former President Donald Trump and his successor Joe Biden. Now, with the two running against each other in the November presidential election, Trump has floated tariffs of over 60% on all Chinese goods, pressuring Biden to take a harder stance. Eason Pan and Maddie Anstruther for TaiwanPlus.
This week on TaiwanPlus, we've been looking back at Tsai-Ing Wen's presidency. After serving her maximum 2 terms, Tsai will be handing over Taiwan's top office to her vice president, Lai Ching-te, who was elected in January. Today, we look at how Taiwan's economy has changed under Tsai, which saw breakthroughs with international trade partners. Joyce Zeng reports.
When Tsai-Ing Wen became president in 2016, one of her goals was to lift Taiwan's economy after almost 2 decades of subpar growth. Her predecessor, Ma Ying-jeou, averaged 2.5% GDP growth across his 8 years in office. In her first term, Tsai punched similar numbers, averaging 2.6% annual GDP growth. Then the world changed. The COVID-19 pandemic pummeled the global economy. But as countries around the world suffered amid lockdowns, Taiwan posted an annual GDP growth rate of 6.5% in 2021, the highest in over a decade.
We have witnessed events that have shaken up the global political order and sparked widespread inflation. Nevertheless, Taiwan has emerged from these challenges stronger.
A spike in global demand for electronics as more people worked from home lifted Taiwan's GDP, exports, and the domestic approval ratings of Tsai's economic policies to a 58% peak.
Some credits can go to the Tsai administration, but just part of it. Much of this is due to international, the changes in the international environment.
In the past 4 years, the world's not only lived through that pandemic, but has also seen ongoing wars in Ukraine and Gaza. For Taiwan, economists say it's the intensifying competition between the U.S. and China that's had a major impact. China was once a hub for foreign investment, but amid government raids and strict anti-espionage laws, foreign firms began looking for new destinations. Tsai had already been pushing to make Taiwan more investment-friendly, including efforts like overhauling intellectual property laws to better protect trade secrets. Those efforts helped raise Taiwan's profile as a prime destination for international investment.
The investment, like after 2018, grew by a lot. Part of those are Taiwanese firms coming back, and part of those are just new firms just invest in Taiwan. And if new firms want to invest in China, they might think, okay, maybe I don't want to go there, so maybe I can go to Southeast Asia, or maybe I can consider Taiwan.
On top of attracting businesses to Taiwan, President Tsai strove to diversify the country's trading partners. She's reduced economic dependence on Taiwan's top trading partner, China, given Beijing's ongoing threat to invade. Instead, Tsai built up business relations with other countries like the U.S. and nations in Southeast Asia.
From many different groups.
Taiwan's top trade negotiator and former economy minister John Deng said these efforts have led to breakthrough deals. That includes this document, the first set of agreements under the landmark U.S.-Taiwan Initiative on 21st Century Trade, signed in 2023. Talks are still going for more agreements, including with the UK, Canada, and others. It's a sign, Deng says, that Taiwan has an increasingly positive image among its trading partners.
Those new agreements will be able to attract more foreign investors coming into Taiwan. And that certainly will add more trust, earn trust from our trading partners.
That growing international trust is reflected in the numbers. This March, the U.S. overtook China as the largest destination for Taiwan's exports, buying $9.1 billion in goods versus China's $7.9 billion. Deng says Taiwan will need to keep working with like-minded countries and support free, fair competition to make its economy more competitive. As for Tsai's legacy, she's leaving office with a more multifaceted Taiwanese economy, with more trade ties and global recognition for Taiwan as a reliable partner. Devin Tsai and Joyce Chen for TaiwanPlus.
Be sure to tune in tomorrow for more on Tsai's legacy here on TaiwanPlus. YouTube has agreed to remove access to 32 videos featuring the protest song Glory to Hong Kong for users in the city. The company is complying with an order from Hong Kong's Court of Appeal, which says the song could be used to incite secession and violence against the state. The song dates from 2019, when widespread pro-democracy protests broke out in the city. YouTube expressed its disappointment in the court's decision, saying that it could harm freedom of expression online. It says it will consider an appeal. At least 50 people are confirmed dead in western Indonesia, where villages have been hit by flash floods. Torrential rain triggered floods and mudslides on Sumatra Island over the weekend. More than 3,000 people have been forced to flee their homes, and many are still missing. With more heavy rain on the way, the death toll may continue to rise.
Bertiga.
Bertiga sama siapa?
Sama ayah sama ibu.
Ayah ibu selamat?
Ibu alhamdulillah selamat, ayah masih belum ketemu.
Temperatures in the mountains of Taiwan are rising faster than a global average. As the effects of climate change increase, scientists are worried that this may threaten the country's highland biodiversity. Wesley Lewis has the story.
High up above the plains, Taiwan's lush mountain ranges contain a wealth of biodiversity. These ecosystems thrive in cooler temperatures, but climate change is threatening the delicate balance of life here.
山区一直是在生物多样性保育生物多样性很重要的地方，而我们对他们的气候变化状况其实了解相对是少很多。我们辨识出全世界可能受到暖化威胁比较严重的山区。那这个其实在不管是联合国之后要做全球的保育计划的时候， 其实就可以把这些地方当作优先去保护跟研究的地方。
With more than 250 peaks over 3,000 meters high, Taiwan has the highest density of large mountains of any island on Earth. Researcher Shen Shengfeng has been monitoring temperature changes in these mountains and conducting population surveys of vulnerable local species.
埋葬虫是一个对温度非常敏感的虫，然后呢，所以我们其实沿着海拔调查它的密度，我们就可以了解说，譬如说温度变高变低的时候，它们的族群是会怎么样的反应。
Shen says burrowing beetles are a good indicator of climate change, as they depend on cool temperatures to reproduce. To understand more about the effects of climate change on local temperatures, Shen is looking at isotherms, a meteorological tool that shows the planet's surface heat.
这个是我们把台湾这个等温线上升的速率就是气候速率跟全球的比较，那台湾大概是6点多，那全球的平均大概是6，所以我们比全球的气候速率高了一点。
In other words, Shen's study shows that the rate at which temperatures are rising relative to elevation is higher in Taiwan than the global average. What's more, scientists say climate change has already exacerbated extreme weather patterns, making summers in Taiwan hotter, longer, and drier. Shen says temperate mountain ecosystems are among the most at risk in Taiwan, and the behavior of vulnerable species like the burrowing beetle, which plays an important role in the nutrient cycle, is sounding the alarm. Chris Ma and Wesley Lewis for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Finally today, step into an immersive museum that marries art and technology in Dubai. I'm Betty Chen. Take care and see you next time.